What is going on, everyone? I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion.com, and today I'm here to give you my review for Demon Gaze, which is a PlayStation Vita exclusive. Now, in the game, you are known as a Demon Gazer, which has this unique ability to not only fight against the demons, but also trap them in your body, which is pretty cool and unique. Now, in the game, you're not really a specific main character. The name of the main character is whoever you choose it to be. But when you first wake up, you'll wake up in this dungeon and you have no clue who you are or what's going on until after you exit the dungeon. You start meeting these people and you're part of this in society where you're able to not only live there, but you're tasked to go and capture these different demons throughout the different areas. And as the story progresses along, you actually find out who you really are, and things start to get a bit interesting. But that's as much as I'm going to tell you guys for spoiler reasons, but just the overall story does pick up as the game progresses, and you learned quite a bit. So far, like, the story was unique, and I actually really enjoyed it. As for the graphics, the visual aspect of the game is really nice, especially when you're talking to the various of different characters in the game. They just really stand out because they have this really bright and colorful tone, kind of like an anime style to it. And then when you're actually in the combat section of the game, you still have that same kind of like 2D art style, but also too, like, when you're exploring the different areas and dungeons, it has like this old school PC vibe to it, like kind of similar to the Elder Scrolls Arena, but not that exact. That's just one of the first games that came into my opinion. But like the overall color tone and the graphics, visual aspect wise, the game is really nice. I like the detail and the look of each of the different characters, especially when it comes to the females. Now let me go ahead and try to break down the gameplay and let you know how that works. So in the game, you have two main sections. You have the inn, which is where you're going to be doing all your main activities, like purchasing weapons, gathering new party members, and all that. And then the other main section is we're going to be going to exploring these different areas and getting involved with combat. So let me go ahead and break down the inn first, then I'll talk about the actual combat mechanic. So in the inn, you have various of different things you're able to do. First off is the manager. The manager is the owner of the inn. And that's where you go to if you want to add a party member, which in this game you could have a total of 5. And of course, it's the one that you go to return the demon souls, where she makes a demon key, which you're able to use in battle. Next up is that you have your room where you're able to go and check out your inventory and of course your party members. The one below that is actually going to be containing your other tasks that you're able to do, where you're able to purchase weapons and items. There's also the main hallway, which there's a bulletin board where you're able to do a bunch of different side activities, but do note that not everything on the board is just side activities. There's actually some there that are part of the main story and which you need to do in order to progress further into the game, which I discovered that the hard way. And last but not least, you also have the basement. In the basement, you're able to do two different things. First off, if you have any fallen party members and you don't have a potion to revive them while you're out in combat, you're able to bring them back there, and depending on the level of your character will determine how much gold it will cost to revive them. And once you unlock the ability, you also unlock this crafting system. Now, the crafting system is where you could break down old weaponry to make the new ones stronger. And it has to be of the same element. For example, I could break down elements of an old sword, and I could use that to upgrade my current sword, and I could go up to 10 times for that, so it's going to increase the damage overall. So you got to stick with the same weapons, but overall it's a really cool mechanic. Now let's go ahead and talk about the main battle phase. When you move around the map, it kind of has like the old school PC feel, as I stated, similar to Elder Scrolls Arena. As you're making your way to different corners, at first it's going to throw you off a little bit because it's not like you're just moving a character around, seamlessly. It's just like, one step at a time, like square sections at a time, I should say. You have like main spaces that you walk on. You also have hazardous areas, which every time you step on a hazardous area, you're going to suffer a lot of damage. But thankfully, there's a demon where you could equip, and you're able to walk on those hazardous space. Now, the way the demon section works is that as you capture and control different demons, you could use them in battle. And the way the system is set up is that if the demon likes you, you build this relationship with the demon to where the demon is going to be much more helpful for you during combat. And if you're not paying attention to the other demons that you capture, let's say you're not using them, or if the chain breaks, they will actually turn against you, meaning that you have to fight and recapture them once again, which can get a little bit of pain, but it's not that complicated to where you could use all the different demons, especially once you find the ones you like, and then give the other ones a try, because they have some really helpful abilities that will aid you in combat. Now, the way in terms of how you interact with the enemies is quite simple. Kind of like Final Fantasy, every time you're roaming around in the area, next thing you know, you're in a battle. That's one way. The other two ways is that you have different shapes on the board. First off, you have an item one, you have a red one, which will have like some type of demon logo on it, meaning that there's always going to be an enemy that you have to fight. And there's also ones in purple, which are going to be a lot stronger, but offer a lot more experience. And what the main goal here is, every time you're in an area, you have to control all the spawn circles. Once you get that, the main demon circle will appear, and that's where you're going to begin your boss fight. Now in the combat, it's very simple depending on what kind of characters you have, because in the game you do have various amounts, because in the game your main character is known as a he all the time, so no matter what character you choose in the beginning is not going to make a difference or impact the story of any way, shape, or form, only in combat. Now you have like spellcasters, paladins, you have dudes who could be like, you know, buffing your guys, healing, magicians, I mean, all kinds of different unique characters to the game, even archers. And what's cool about it is that they have this system where you could either have like people in the front or back. So for example, you could have your heavy hitters and defenders in the front, and you could have your healers and spellcasters in the back, providing some extra assistance for your team, which is a pretty cool mechanic. And the way the demon system works is that you go in, you actually summon the demon out, and depending on the demon at the time will determine what kind of skill and ability that they have. For example, Comet, she's this unique character that often when I bring her in battle, she heals my teammates right away, which is pretty cool because I have this strong relationship with her. And another cool feature is that if you have a really strong bond with a demon, sometimes they'll just pop in the battle if they think that they need your, you know, if you need their assistance, which is pretty cool. So basically, you just select the combat. There's no like main animation. You just have like these little effects. Like I said, like a very old school PC game kind of vibe to it. You select your different attacks, your abilities, and whatnot, or even use items. So it's pretty basic. Like if you played Final Fantasy, then the battle system should be very familiar to you. So of course, also too, another thing to note is that during the actual gameplay, let's say there's a section on the map that you need to get to, but you're getting lost, you can actually select that destination on your map, and it's automatically going to take you there. But once you get involved in combat, you do have to do the combat section yourself. And during the combat, let's say you're using a move set and it's doing a lot of damage, rather than having to select all those different moves again, you can simply push a button and it's going to repeat the same move set that you did during your previous turn. So overall, that's how the combat system works. It's really nice, and it does take, depending on the area that you're in, can take a little bit of time to level up your characters, but it's something that you're going to need to do. And there's also one other thing to note is that when you actually go back into town, you have to pay rent. So yeah, every time you go in and out, the rent is going to go higher and higher, and there's even an IOU system. But if you're good at paying your rent on time, you're sometimes going to get some basic awards. Like one time I got 800G back, and I've never really did the IOU, but there is that system in the game. So that's pretty much the gameplay section, like, you know, like a very old school PC game, but it works quite well for the PlayStation Vita. It's actually really enjoyable, especially when you get to the intense boss fight battles. Those can be frustrating at times, but the overall gameplay was solid and I was impressed. Now, as for the sound, I gotta say the soundtrack within the game was really enjoyable, especially when you get to the outside section where you're just looking for enemies and fighting demons, especially when the battle phase kicks in. It's like, wow, this has a nice vibe to it, and I just really got into the mood, especially at times when you're back at the inn, you have like this really just monotone music, like really nice and relaxing, just fitting the tone of the inn. Kind of like if you were to actually go there in person, that would be the music playing through the speakers. And now in terms of the characters, there's actually voice actors in the game, believe it or not. It's not a whole lot, but there's some sections in the game where the characters actually do talk and you do hear some voice actors. And I gotta say, in terms of the one other chick, the second one that you meet in the game, I forget her name, and the one who played as the manager, I think they did an excellent job playing the role, because they were really believable and you could just really feel like they were just basically, it's kind of hard to describe it, like they were that character. I mean, they weren't like, okay, it's just a voice actor playing it. It's like you could tell, it's like, wow, they're really setting the goal for those characters. But like I said, the voice actors did a really good job, and the in-game soundtrack was really enjoyable to listen to. Now we get to the lifespan. What kind of lifespan do I see for this game? And it's really hard to tell, to be honest, because there's some positives and some negatives. So let's go ahead and start with the positive. The positive aspect is that the game is decently long. I mean, you're going to be putting many hours into this, trying to level up your characters, even exploring some other of the different classes. Maybe if you switch, okay, if I switch this warrior with this defender, or I switch my archer with the mage, how would that battle scheme turn out? I mean, you do have elements to explore, seeing what kind of awesome teams that you could form, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot to the story. And what I mean by that is because in the game you have various of different characters that you could select from, but the game is only focused on one specific character, which is the Demon Gazer. So no matter what kind of character you choose to play as, class, race, etc., that doesn't matter or play any role into the story at all. It would have been cool if they provided something like that, like let's say if you choose to be like an elf paladin, then the story would change depending on your race and class. But unfortunately that doesn't happen at all within the game, which is a bit of a downside. So there's no, you know, kind of like Dragon Age. Dragon Age did that before, but this game doesn't feature that, which is a missed opportunity in my opinion. Like I said, the game is nice and long, but at the same time there's also a lot of reading. Yeah, but reading, like I said, the characters don't talk all the time. Sometimes you're going to have a little bit of dialogue where you just kick back and listen, and other times you're just going to be reading the text on the screen quite often, and I mean a lot. Now what's cool about the game is that you could choose to have the English or Japanese voice actors, and same thing with the text reading as well, but just like I said, there's a lot of text reading. It feels like you're reading like 3 Harry Potter books in this game. Like if I were to sum up all the text in one, it's just really long and you can't really skip it as well. So that's kind of that decreases the lifespan just a bit. But the overall gameplay, like I said, it's solid, and you have those challenging boss fights that you get to face. Just like I said, the story doesn't change any kind of way, no matter what kind of class or race you choose to be, and the story can drag on quite a bit, especially when you're trying to skip the dialogue, and unfortunately there's no way to do that. But just the overall lifespan is, it's alright. It's not high and it's not that low. It's kind of like in the center. As for the innovative, was there anything new here, or was this stuff that we already seen before? Like the relationship aspects that you have with the demons, we've seen stuff like that used in various different ways in games before, so there's not really a lot of innovation here. What I did like about the game overall is that it brought back this old school feel to it. Like, what I mean is like something from like the 1990s brought back into 2014 aspect for the handheld system, which is really nice. I got that because it, you know, brought back decent memories, and it was actually a really good title. So in the end, what will I give Demon Gaze? Well, I gotta say it was an enjoyable time. I wish there's just, you know, more aspects for the story, like depending on the class and race you could have been, because that would have bumped up the replay value quite a bit. And I wish the dialogue didn't drag on way too long. I mean, I know it's telling a pretty epic story, but just at times it dragged too long. But in the end, I'm going to give Demon Gaze an 8 out of 10. If you guys want to check out some gameplay, you could check the link in the description down below. Anyways, I'm Sir James from Gamerfuzion, and remember, Gamerfuzion empowers your gaming.